Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a 2010, it's a Nissan Murano with a 3.5 liter engine, and we're just going to be doing some basic maintenance on this. We're going to change the oil and filter, and then we're going to go inside the vehicle and we're going to change the maintenance required light on the dashboard. We're going to reset that to 100%. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go get our gloves on, and we're going to set this vehicle up in the air, and we'll continue underneath the bottom. So let's get up front and I'll show you what kind of tools you're going to need to do this job. Okay, this is an example of what kind of tools you're going to need to do this job. You're going to need a socket set, of course, in order to remove the oil drain plug. You're also going to need some lighting so you can get in there and see what you're doing. You're going to need a new oil filter, of course. You may need to change the oil drain plug gasket, but we'll see what that looks like when we take it out. Like I said, a set of sockets, and you're going to need some kind of a tool to take off the oil filter. Now this obviously is the filter, and there's different kinds of tools. You can use a tool like this, a band wrench, in order to put it on there and take that off. Sometimes that's the easiest one to use. Other times you can use one like this, where it goes around the filter just like this, and as you rotate it, these teeth right here dig into the filter and it actually takes it right off. That's another kind. And then this one is the third kind that goes around the filter just like this. It's a little cap like this, and it fits inside these little grooves here, and you can take it off. Alright, so that's the different thing. Of course, you need some rags and a suitable bucket to drain your oil into. Alright, so now we're going to go underneath the vehicle. And this, we'll get a little bit better view later, but this is your oil pan right here. That's our oil drain plug. And you're going to come up underneath here, and in there is your oil filter up underneath the bottom, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Alright, first thing we're going to do now is we're going to set the bucket up, and we're going to take that drain plug out, and we're going to let it drain out. Now I want to point this out to you. This is your drain plug right here. Now, as you can see, it's a 14 millimeter bolt in here, and you see the open end wrench fits on there perfectly. You would think that you could use this open end portion of the wrench to take that out, but you really cannot do that. You don't want to take a chance on putting this wrench on here and pushing it and stripping off these little pieces right in here. So even though you can use a wrench such as this, you only want to use the box end of the wrench to get it off. All right? I don't usually use a wrench here at the shop. I always try to use a socket because it's a lot easier. You have a little more leverage and you can get it right off fairly easy without any kind of struggle. And then we're just going to take the drain plug out, and we're just going to let it drain into a bucket just like this. Now if your gasket or O-ring or washer or whatever is in poor condition, this is the time when you want to replace it. So now we're going to let this drain out until this is totally empty, and once it's empty, then we'll come back and we'll take that plug and put it back in, and then we'll take off that filter. So let's let it drain out, and when it's empty, we'll come right back. Okay, and once the oil finishes draining out, you screw your plug in by hand. You don't screw it in with the wrench yet. You screw it in by hand only, and then you'll snug it down against the oil pan, making sure that you don't strip out the oil pan. Nice and snug. And now we'll just wipe off any residual oil that's in here. And now we'll come up here and I'll show you where the oil filter is located, and then how we're going to remove the oil filter from the vehicle as well. Now, in order to get that filter out, it's a little bit tight in here, but we just pull this cover back like this. We slide that little cap over the top that we had like that, and then we just push it all the way on, of course. Okay. And now we're just going to let this filter drain out here into a bucket. Make sure you have your bucket down below, of course. We'll let that drain a little bit, and then we'll take our filter off. Now when you take your filter off, it's very, very important that you look at the filter and make sure that that O-ring right there, whoop, make it a little mess here. Make sure that that O-ring right there came off as well. I don't know if you can see this. You see this O-ring right here? Sometimes that O-ring on the filter sticks up on the housing right there, and if that's the case, then we're going to wind up with a little bit of a leak. So you want to make sure that the oil filter O-ring is not stuck up there by accident. All right, so let's grab our new filter. We're going to wipe away any of the oil underneath there. Now, the oil filter itself, you want to make sure you put a little bead of oil on this portion of the O-ring right in here, which I did do clean oil, I might add. Open this up, put this out like that, and screw it back on by hand. Tighten it up. Okay, now that filter, you do not use a wrench to tighten that filter up. You tighten it as tight as you can by hand, and that's it. Now, if any of your clips broke off, which one of them popped off up on the top, you'll need to replace them at this point. And of course, you're going to take a rag and you're going to clean up everything underneath here so you don't have any oil dripping on your driveway or in your garage or even in the street. All right, so, all right, that's it. Let me put that clip back in. We're going to lower it down and we'll continue up top. Okay, always check to make sure how much oil and what weight oil goes into a vehicle. As you can see, this calls for 5W30, so make sure you use the correct oil in the car. Obviously, you're not going to have the computer, but you can look in your owner's manual. And then we're going to go back and we're going to check the capacity just to see how much it takes. And with the oil change, it's 4 7/8 quarts of oil, so that's what we're going to put in. All right, let's get outside and I'm going to show you how to put the oil in. Okay, just make sure that you use the correct oil. A lot of times people will say, well, you can put anything, 520, 1040, 540, whatever. You never want to use anything except what is recommended for it. This is where you would tell the weight of the oil. It tells you right here what the weight of the oil is. I use a synthetic blended oil, so that's what we're going to put in. Now we know it takes 4.78 quarts, so we're going to grab our funnel and then we're going to get started. Now, over here is where our oil goes. You're going to take your cap off. Now, let's bring it a little closer. Now, even though you think you're going to be able to pour the oil in there without spilling it, don't do it. You want to make sure you use a funnel to put it in there so we don't have an issue. All right. And now we're going to put in 4 7/8 quarts of oil. So let me do that. All right. Now we're going to take our funnel back out. Make sure you put your cap back on. Screw your cap all the way down. And then we're going to start it up for just a minute, and then we're going to shut it back off. So let me do that. Okay, so make sure our cap is on. And we're going to look, obviously we're going to look under the vehicle to make sure there's no leaks. We're going to pull the dipstick back out like this. Wipe the dipstick down so it's nice and clean. And the normal range for this one would be between this mark and this mark, probably closer to the upper mark. And when you put your dipstick back in, make sure it goes down all the way. And as you can see, go right up to the full mark. Okay, make sure your dipstick is all the way back in. Our cap is back on. You're going to look, let's see, you're going to look under the vehicle to make sure that there's no leaks underneath the vehicle, so everything is bone dry. And then we're going to go inside and we're going to reset that maintenance required light, which is very important whenever you do an oil change, because it'll remind you in the future when you need to change the oil again. So let's get these gloves off. We're going to go inside and we're going to reset that maintenance required light. Okay, now that we're in the vehicle, we're going to make sure we have our hood closed up front, right? You're going to make sure your door is closed, and then we're going to not step on the brake pedal. Take your foot off the brake pedal. Make sure you've got your keys with you. Press this button to the start button to turn everything on to the on position, right? We'll let the dashboard come alive. And then we're going to come in here. We're going to press this button on the side here. And then we're going to click to enter it. Then we're going to click the button right here, the little dot, the red. Then to get to the next screen is the one with the round circle, this one right here. We press that. We're going to go to reset. Yes. I'm going to press the reset again. Engine oil is reset. Now you can see that that's setting. Alright, now we're going to go back. We're going to get the oil filter. Then we're going to click the end to the oil filter. And then we're going to click over to get the oil filter to reset by pressing that button. And we'll enter it by pressing the upper button. Then we're going to click the round, you can see it right here, the round little button. Going to click over. We're going to enter it. And that's it, oil filter is reset as well. We're just going to check it one more time. Engine oil, it's already reset. Going to go back. We're going to go to oil filter now. Check the oil filter. That's reset as well. Alright, so now we should be able to start it. And everything should be off. That's it. Reset to 100%. Alright, that's it. We're all done. Alright, very important though is you make sure you reset your oil maintenance reminder light. A lot of people overlook it. A lot of shops even overlook it. So if you get your oil changed at an oil change place and they forget to reset it for you, now you know how to reset it yourself. Alright, as always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.